You're listening to the Post-Fades Cheesesteaks podcast, where your hosts, Tim and Dakota, discuss everything football, Philadelphia sports, and much, much more. Streaming weekly on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find us on Instagram at PFNCS, and check out our Etsy shop at the link in the bio. Thank you for listening, and let's roll right into this week's episode. Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks, hosted by yours truly, Dakota and Tim, and joined by Mr. Michael. How are you?
What's going on, guys? I'm good.
Long awaited, trying to get on for a while. We finally got a good time, so.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here. I love the podcast and looking forward to talking about the birds.
The birds, yeah.
Perfect timing. Great week to be on it.
Mike had he's dabbled in podcasts before. He had a little podcast phase, right?
Yeah. We had the May I Speak podcast, which is no longer, well, it's still up there. You can still listen to some of the episodes, but we don't do it anymore. Maybe one of these days if we all have time to get a reunion.
It's still there. You can always restart that. So
Yeah, it's not easy coordinating schedules anymore.
No.
Did you not? Now, did you start yours during the pandemic as well?
No. We started ours actually in college, 2018, I believe.
Yeah,
2018. We never got Dakota as a guest.
Yeah, I think I was on, wasn't I?
You were?
I think so.
He
was the reason you guys stopped doing it.
Yeah. The hate just kind of went up as soon as he came on.
I think I was. But cool. Yeah. So obviously Super Bowl week. Lots of awesome stuff to talk about. I actually just saw today a video of I guess it was like all the players and staff from each team were giving each other handshakes and high fives in like a line or whatever. And Andy Reid was like doing everyone individually too, and then he saw Lane, Brandon Graham, and Jason Kelsey, who were on the last team that he coached with the Eagles, and I thought they looked pretty happy and emotional to see him, so that was cool. But
that was really cool.
Big Red. Life comes 360 for him. He's already got a Super Bowl ring. Gets to come back, face his old team. This is going to be a big moment for Big Red, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, Mike, I know you're like you told me before, like you only recently started. I think Eagles fandom started like 5, 6, 7 years ago, so you might not have caught
Kelly.
Yeah, so you came in rough.
Yeah, I did. I mean, like I always watched the Eagles casually as a kid, because growing up in Philly, you're just an Eagles fan. Doesn't matter any other team you support, you got to be an Eagles fan. Especially where I grew up, in North Philly, it was just like all Eagles fandom. And the hate for the Cowboys was just real. Of course you hate the Giants, you hate the former Redskins, now the Commanders. But the Cowboys hate was just real. And honestly, when people ask me like why do you hate the Cowboys so much, I never really have a great answer other than you just hate them. I was just bred to hate the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. I love that. I started actively watching the Eagles back in the Chip Kelly years, Mark Sanchez. It was rough. Then
it's a tough time to join in.
That was a real tough time to join. That's how you're a real fan. You stuck with it. So
yeah, and then you go from Sanchez to Bradford, and then Carson Wentz came along, and the rest is history, man.
I still can't believe Mark Sanchez was a quarterback for this team. That's insane.
Yeah, it was rough.
Weird list of modern quarterbacks that have taken a couple snaps for us.
Yeah, but I guess so. From that, I guess Mike, your prior knowledge and what you've heard, and then Tim. I feel like Tim and I are on the same page for this, but I feel like the Philly media and a lot of the fans just like have this animosity towards Andy Reid, and they like aren't even grateful that like all the playoff games they took him to, all the NFC championship appearances. I feel like it's like there was always a letdown, and there was always frustration with his time management and how he talked to the media about time's yours and all that, and just never like connecting really, because he went in and did his job. And I think Nick Sirianni being like very Philly vibe, like just loving, like embracing everything, like being like one of the fans essentially. I think people are taking that, and saying, well, Andy didn't do this. And well, yeah, Andy's a completely different person. That's not his style. So I was just curious, like, I know for me, I loved Andy Reid. When he got fired, it was like a mutual thing. It was time to move on. Each party was going to benefit. So I have nothing but love for Andy Reid. Tim and Mike, I don't know what your thoughts are on Big Red.
I mean, I think we're moved on past enough where there's no bad feelings.
Yeah.
Big Red, like they are polar opposites, because Big Red personality and the way he deals with media reminds you of Belichick. He just never had the success and got away with it because he wasn't Belichick.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got nothing against Andy. I'd be lying to say that if we lose to Big Red in the Super Bowl, it wouldn't hurt more than if we lost to another team. I will definitely be really bitter if we lose to our former coach.
Yeah.
This will feel good to beat Andy after all the years we've had him and how things ended. But more important, put yourself in Andy's shoes. Like, do either of you still have like a job or a coworker you like, no matter how long it's been, you still have bad feelings towards them? Like whether it ended on a bad note or something. Like I know I like personally, like there are some coworkers I don't look back on fondly. I had some run-ins with them that ultimately cost me my job. But yeah, no, would not look, no matter how many years go by, I would not look at them in any positive way. And if we ever cross paths again, I would relish the opportunity to just embarrass them and pull one over them like Big Red's got on his shoulders now. Do you think Andy's still thinking that? He's like, still like, fuck this city. All those times they wanted to fire me. I'm going to go on such a tangent if I manage to go and ruin the whole city's hopes and dreams.
I think he's moved on. I think he loves.
So you don't keep any grudges, do Dakota? You just move on.
No, I keep grudges. I keep grudges. It's just,
I was to say, you seem like a grudge person. You seem like one person
Andy's
steps on your
here.
shoe when you're growing up, and you probably want to like break their legs 10 years later.
Okay. All right.
I can see it seething in you, beating into you. I can see the devils creeping up into you.
Is that because I'm a redhead?
I was gonna say, is the pun intended? Oh man. Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I didn't actively watch football too much back when Big Red was in Philly, but I have seen, of course, lots of the film, lots of the highlights, the Super Bowl runs that we had with him. I definitely understand where some animosity could come in on his end. I don't think that he's gonna be, I think he's more focused on just getting his guys together and getting this win. But I think that if he won this one, it would mean more to him, than that first Super Bowl, because he's beating his old team. He's beating the Philly, the Eagles, and he's able to kind of hold that against the city. With that being said, though, it's hard. This Super Bowl is hard for me to. I mean, it's the Eagles, and I love the Eagles, but I also very much have so much appreciation for Patrick Mahomes' game. Because he's one of those people that I when I started watching football, he came into the league shortly after that, and you've kind of seen how he's revolutionized the QB position and is becoming one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen play the game right before our eyes, and you appreciate that. But at the same time, it's like, hey, it's the Birds. I'm gonna root for the Birds 100%.
Of course,
I hope Reddick gets that sack early, that you just kind of have that little bit of hope that, you see something similar. Not that the guy gets hurt, hope nobody gets hurt, but you wouldn't be upset if Reddick gets a big sack on him early on and just
completely joyous. Joyous. Yeah. I think the animosity is there between the history. I think it helps that we've won our own Super Bowl. Big Red's got his own Super Bowl. Now, if either of us went into the game without the Super Bowl, then, I think this would really, the emotion would be overflowing. But now I feel like we're kind of in the situation where, we're almost spoiled. I can't believe we're going to another Super Bowl in 5 years.
Yeah.
Before this, we only had 2 in the entire span of the franchise before we eventually won it, and both of them we lost.
Well, 2017, we didn't know how to act. Like,
no, it's true. I was like,
lost. What do we do? How did we get here?
What happens now? Do they send you a manual after this? Like, when do we get our instruction guide on how to celebrate? But I think this is still a good follow up. The energy is going to be there. There's a lot to You're talking about the best player in the NFL right now with your former coach. Yeah, the other Kelsey on the team. It'd be exciting. Number one seed. I think this is a matchup. Yeah, everyone Big Red's got a lot in it. Kansas City's going to want to win it for them. Philly's obviously ready to go against Big Red, and I think the NFL's happy you got the two best teams all year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To Mike's point, I did hear Jalen was talking about, how Mahomes really like started that kind of new wave of a standard for that kind of play at quarterback, and obviously nobody can compete with Mahomes. Like he just does things that you're not supposed to with a football, like throwing sideways and off your back foot with the other hand or whatever. Like he's just crazy. But
to that point, like I think that if you look at both teams, if the QB wasn't Mahomes for the Chiefs, this matchup wouldn't even be close, because I think that the argument could be made that every single position, top to bottom, it's better for the Eagles. The Eagles had the advantage in every single position except for the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot that the Eagles and Chiefs had played 2 years ago, and I was watching some highlights from that. It was like the 2011 season, and it was a high scoring game. Nobody punted. Mahomes, I mean, Hurts he threw a lot of passes, but he had over 300 yards. Like I think 2 or 3
he had a good game.
Yeah, he had a good game, but it was literally the Mahomes game. Like he threw 5 touchdowns. It was just him and Tyreek Hill just destroying the secondary. That was before we had the secondary and defense we have now. But
that was when Jonathan Gannon was playing 20 yards off of every wide receiver, and just ended up get eaten alive.
Alex Singletary making tackles. Like, this is old film.
Yeah, this is like the span when we had like 4 straight quarterbacks go over like 85% completion percentage against us, where it was just easy to walk up and down the field.
Derek Carr almost had like 100, didn't he?
It was just Gannon was just giving yards away. He was just like, oh no, you won't get anything 50 yards down the field, but everything before that, go ahead, it's all yours.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's dialed it up. I mean, he's got the thing is, like, he can run his defense now because he has the talent to support it.
Oh, so, yeah, I mean, it does help when you have James
That's why
Bradbury,
I'm curious to see how Mahomes does with these receivers. I think Kelsey's going to see a lot of targets. I think they're going to use a lot of the running backs, but I also, like, not to keep going off tangents, but I think it's so funny that the 49ers are still talking shit as if they're not sitting at home. Like, did you hear who was it?
Brandon Ayuk, man.
Yeah, guy, such a loser. Get over yourself.
I was like, bro, just shut up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, enjoy your time said it best. Couch.
He said it best, man. BG said it best. People say some crazy things when they're talking from the couch.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was him, and then
too true.
Yeah, he basically said like, oh well, if crazy circumstances didn't happen, we were going to expose that defense. I was like, well, you didn't. One catch for 11 yards.
You exposed nothing.
Yeah, you exposed that you're a fraud. But,
exactly.
And then what you're talking about, Mike, that was who was it? The Giants safety.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, anyone can, Sirianni is this and that. Anyone could coach this team. I was like, you got to have a lot of disrespect to just like,
yeah, man.
You got beat 3 times by this coach.
Yeah, seriously.
You're gonna say, from the comfort of your couch, or he was on air actually. He was on like a TV show to say that.
I've never seen such an elite dominant team all year get so much disrespect.
I know, it's wild.
We've
nobody talks about the Chiefs like that.
No, we're like, you talk about, they didn't play anyone. What about the, 2nd seed Vikings and like the 3rd seed Cowboys or whatever they were, we destroyed.
Yeah.
Julian Love over here chomping and chewing. Like, bro, we destroyed you. Like, those games weren't close. The closest game was when you played your backups. It's just, what do you say? Again, the Niners, like, all right, cool. What passing game were you going to expose? Your quarterback couldn't even throw 3 passes before his arm was ripped out of his socket from our defensive pass rush.
Yeah, well, circumstances might have been different if maybe you pass protect better, or maybe you had better coaching game plan, or maybe you had better quarterbacks. Or if you did
anything better. Yeah, what about the defense that let up, 38 points or 31 points, whatever the final score was?
It's
we're really struggling here.
I can't wait. I can't wait till the Super Bowl's over, and hopefully with the Eagles' victory, that everyone can just shut up, just like accept the fact that
narratives.
Eagles were the
narrative is going to be insane, man. It's going to be like, Mahomes wasn't 100%. His ankle, like I can't wait for it, man. It's going to be insane, and it's just the Eagles are never going to get the respect they deserve because they're
about Jalen's hurt shoulder or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's outrageous, man. It's like we've never had one moment minus
playing
the
with a torn
Washington
UCL
game
or whatever it is.
We've never had one moment where we didn't look like a dominant team. even that Washington game, we were making so many mistakes, but we were still in it till the very end.
Oh yeah, yeah. We didn't get blown out. We didn't
Consistency of
lose
dominance that I don't
by
get.
like
Yeah,
a
no.
wide margin. Like
if it wasn't for your backup quarterback and some like the mistakes, you probably wouldn't have lost the game all year.
Yeah, but anyways, I know Tim, we talked last time about how like sometimes these like week leading up to the Super Bowl, the interviews get like really weird and they ask stupid questions. Like how when Alshon was asked in the Super Bowl, like, do you think the weather's going to be a factor? And they were putting in a fucking dome. But I saw one yesterday. The reporter asked Siri. I don't know if he was being dead at like serious or what was going on, but he was like, "Oh, do you think Sunday's a must-win game?" And Sirianni just like he looked around and he's like, "Yes." Like what a waste of a fucking question. Like
no, when they asked him like which one of the Eagles like he wouldn't let his daughter date, like his daughter's 5 years old.
I was like, what the fuck?
It's fine. They'll let anyone that has like a podcast or a recorder come into the Radio Row or whatever it is just to ask questions. You get so many people, so many idiots, so many bad questions. It's insane.
Yeah. It was fun. It's funny to see Michael Irving going around and interviewing all these the Eagles players. It's got to hurt him a little bit being a Dallas Cowboy, but.
Yeah, man. I think the funniest of all of them was when the one asked Jalen, he was just like, hey man, I was one of the guys that said the Eagles, they can't make it to the Super Bowl with you as quarterback, and I just want to. He was like, you're not the only one. He was like, I just want to tell you, man to man, that I'm sorry. And then Jalen is just like, cool.
No, he's locked in. He's so focused. I love it.
I love that about him, man. Like
even
honestly,
AJ, like, Michael Irvin asked AJ Brown. He's like, did you bring all the Batman stuff? He's like, nah, we're not playing
locked
games
in.
where we want to
none of that.
come out here and win. So I like that. I like that a lot.
Keep it focused. Yeah, keep it focused. We'll see what happens. These are, the Eagles probably have less players, than the Chiefs do from their last Super Bowl run. But there's a lot of experienced guys on this team that's been there. I think they're all locked in and they know what to expect.
Yeah. It panned out to be a great Super Bowl for just everyone involved. I mean, you got so many awesome storylines between Reid, Kelsey brothers. I mean, Mahomes and Jalen being the first two starting quarterbacks in the NFL to be African American. Like a lot of
youngest
great
quarterbacks too.
Yeah, youngest quarterbacks too.
Yeah.
Speaking of the game now, getting away from all the pregame festivities, obviously this would be an even better Super Bowl in NFL history if the Eagles managed to win. So, True. Mike, our guest, what is the most important thing? What do the Eagles got to do? Where's the one spot they need to focus on and dominate in to win this game? What's the key factor for them?
Well, they need to score early. We've seen good things happen if the Eagles score on that first drive. I definitely wasn't a huge fan of Sirianni going for it at 4th and 3 on that first drive against San Francisco, but it paid off. They scored and they set the tone, and it just all lights out from there. I think you got to establish the run game. You got some great running backs. You got Kenneth Gainwell. You got Miles Sanders, and of course now Jalen's pretty healthy. You can use him in the running game a lot more. Like he's like that offense was designed to be, and how we've seen it be so successful early in the season. And then the run game will open up the passing game. I don't think that you necessarily need, AJ Brown or Devontae Smith to have huge games if you establish the run game. And I can see them winning this by running the ball versus passing, especially with the Eagles, not the Eagles, the Chiefs secondary looking a little more healthy. L'Jarius Sneed's going to play. So I think that's the biggest key to victory. Is running the ball, run the damn ball.
Yeah.
Hey, it's helped them so far throughout the year. They've done it pretty well.
Yeah.
I do agree with that as well. I think you've seen the template on how to beat the Chiefs as well from when the Buccaneers saw them. I think this pass rush is really going to have to get after them. I mean, we cruised through the Niners and the Giants mostly because our pass rush just were a nightmare for those quarterbacks. Daniel Jones and Brock Purdy looked like the deer in the headlight all game. Yeah. But credit to the Chiefs. They've got a much improved offensive line. I think their offensive line doesn't get enough credit. They are easily one of the best in the NFL. They did a very good job of fixing their problems. But I think it's obviously our strength is that pass rush. I'm not worried about any wide receiver on that team. Kelsey's going to be awesome. But if you can slow him down, Hardman's probably not going to play. Tony's hurt all the time. You got Juju, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. None of those I'm scared of. Just get the pass rush in there. Chase after Mahomes.
For sure.
I think he's going to be healthy enough. I wouldn't be worried about the ankle. He's had the whole week off. But get after him, and I think that could be the big difference maker.
Yeah, I think that you definitely have to make Mahomes uncomfortable. you see it through. I know that the Chiefs offensive line is definitely arguably one of the best in the league. You know, they've made some huge improvements, but you know, when you look at our defensive pass rushers, man, you got
it doesn't matter.
You got Hassan Reddick, man, you got Hargrave, you got Sweat, you got so many pieces, so much depth that we just need a little bit of weakness, and that little bit of weakness gets exploited every time. And I think that we're going to get the Mahomes. You're going to see him really uncomfortable. It's going to be similar to that Bucs Super Bowl. With that being said, I don't see. It's just so hard for me to imagine, you know, the Chiefs losing a Super Bowl the same way they lost against the Bucs, man. You know,
hey, but you know what? He doesn't have any guys to get open quickly. He could be in trouble, even no matter how good that offensive line is. I think they're really going to struggle to get open. You know, Kelsey will be the one you're going to watch, but outside that, I'm not worried about anyone.
You neutralize Kelsey.
Oh yeah, I mean, not even. You just could slow him down. He's too good to stop. But you got your two healthiest guys. You got two guys that are most important in that process healthy in the last couple of weeks with Gardner Johnson and Maddox. I think they'll be okay. But Dakota, what do we got to do to win the Super Bowl? Tell me, what's your one thing? What's the secret sauce?
I mean, I think that's what you guys said is honestly scoring fast, because you look at. I mean, I'm just looking at the last two games. Chiefs scored 27 against Jacksonville and 23 against Cincinnati. That's not going to be enough to beat the Eagles. So
no.
I think if the Eagles can get out and be able to lead, and you force Mahomes to have to get mobile, like Mike was saying, that pass rush is going to be hungry. Like, they're coming after him. So Mahomes is going to have to get mobile, and he's still hobbled. I don't care what anyone says. You don't recover from a high ankle sprain in 2-3 weeks, especially when you're playing on it. So that should be taped. That should be taped up. But yeah, him running around injured, plus the receivers are injured, and the receivers aren't even good to begin with. I mean, Juju's like hit and miss. Valdez-Scantling is just like a kind of a deep threat, but not really.
He's just a guy. He's just a guy. He's
a
dude there.
Kelsey worries me. I don't know if our linebacker. I think Edwards and Kazir White will have their hands full, but I could see. I could see Gardner Johnson
could hang with him. Yeah, he's physical enough.
Down.
Put him and Maddox in some kind of scheme where they're following him around.
Yeah, I think
especially on the inside.
I think the Eagles' defense. I think it'll be high scoring, but I think the Eagles' defense will get some credit this game, and people will be like, we'll see like how Mahomes is kind of getting limited and how much extra he's going to have to do just to get first down, just to push the ball down the field. But I expect a high scoring game. I think both teams will probably get into the 30s, but yeah, I think if the Eagles can score first and just kind of maintain the run after that, it's going to be hard for any team to catch up, because Chiefs don't really run the ball that well. I mean, they got better at it later in the season, but they don't really have any like primetime backs. And if you get a lead, force them to pass to these guys they have at wide receiver, I like our chances. So.
I got that. Well, hey, you know what? Since you almost blasphemy, sacrilegiously, I just tripped on my own words, so we had to call a little substitute there. Since you are like, Antichrist to Philadelphia and picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and you're still sticking to that, you're disgusting. By the way, I have 6 more days to remind you how disgusting you are. So Dakota, go ahead and tell me how the Chiefs are going to make you look so smart because they're going to win the Super Bowl, and what do they need to do?
Well, for once in my life, I hope I'm wrong.
Well, you usually are, so I'm not holding my breath with this one.
So yeah, no, I'm riding the birds all the way. It was just, I told you, it was just we were picking at the end of the year. Chiefs were getting hot. Eagles were kind of like in limbo because Hurts was injured, and I didn't know. I still said they were going to go to Super Bowl, but I just didn't know if I thought.
I think that's even worse that you picked them to go to the Super Bowl and then had them losing. How could you pick against the Eagles going to the Super Bowl?
It's worse. Well, I didn't know you picked them against the Eagles. That's
I see. I would have been more okay with it if you led them like losing in the NFC Championship game. Having them go to the Super Bowl and lose is just ridiculous.
But I could see if the Chiefs defense is able to step up and kind of limit what the Eagles are able to do. I mean, Devontae and AJ haven't really had big games yet. It's not like they have world beaters on the secondary. But I think if Frank Clark and I'm blanking on his other name. Who's the other guy?
Chris
Jones, yeah.
I was gonna say the most important.
The most important guy.
Yeah.
If they get the pressure and are able to cause disruption to Jalen, I mean, Jalen's been great at times handling pressure, and he's been not so great and I think with the injury, he's just going to start just chucking it, or he's going to try and do too much. So I think if Jones and the Chiefs defense can get after Jalen and make him uncomfortable to the point where we're not able to score, I think the Chiefs have a great chance of winning, because they can, no matter who they're playing against on defense, they're going to go down. They can score whenever, because you got Mahomes, so he can throw.
Yeah, no,
he reminds me of like when Brady got to all those Super Bowls with like no name wide receivers and was still getting it done.
Yeah, it's true.
Granted, the Patriots had like great defenses, but
I was to say, yeah,
he was still scoring. So I think Mahomes, no matter what situation, he'll always have a chance to get it done. So if they can get after Jalen and make him uncomfortable, I think they can win. But I don't think.
I obviously agree with that too. I think the most important thing for them, they need to slow down our run game. I think, because if we can run the ball, Mahomes isn't going to get the ball very much. Well, that's the nice thing. I think the most important for the Eagles is get after Mahomes, and I think the most important thing for the Chiefs is to stop our run or slow it down. And those are the two areas that the Eagles are very good in. So just run the ball, keep the ball away from Mahomes. Just keep running it all day. Limit the possessions he has. Obviously, it'll set you up in the passing game. The offense is very balanced. Even if they can't run the ball too well, I think they'll be able to pass. But if they can run that ball consistently, keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands, I think they'll be perfectly fine. And this way, you're going to make Mahomes hurry. That goes right back to your pass rush. Go chase after him when you know he's got to make up for points.
Mike?
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you. The way that the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, the way that I see it happening, is making Hurts really uncomfortable, bringing the pressure. If Chris Jones can get in there, I think that they can definitely generate, maybe not some turnover worthy plays, but a couple of 3 and outs. Generating 3 and outs as much as possible for the Eagles is the key to victory. And giving Mahomes as many chances as possible. Because honestly, limiting Mahomes on offense, limiting the offense in general on the field, I think is anybody's key to victory against the Chiefs. You give the ball to Mahomes as little as possible. We saw that was the whole reason that pretty much the Commanders beat the Eagles, is because they ran the ball down Philly's throats, and they had nothing. They had no answer for it, And then the next week, Limbaugh Joseph and Ndamukong Suh came through the door, man, and
and they've made an impact.
I'm surprised how much of an impact because Jordan Davis hasn't even played that much because he hasn't need to.
But in this playoff run, you'd rather have Suh out there than you would a rookie like Jordan Davis. Sure. Suh knows what he's doing. He's been there. He's saved his tank by sitting out a half a season for this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that the Chiefs capitalizing on making Jalen Hurts uncomfortable and giving Mahomes as many possessions as possible to do what Mahomes does and be Superman out there. Because it doesn't matter who's wide receiver, who's his running back, who's his tight end, he's gonna make things happen. And then of course Kelce, I can't see a world where the Chiefs win and Kelce doesn't have a huge game. So
he needs to
getting Kelce the ball and giving Mahomes as many chances as possible on offense.
Okay. So, I like the strategy going in. We see. I still think it's gonna be a close matchup. I think the Eagles are a better team. I think they fit better against the Chiefs in this matchup.
100%.
Going off that, we now know how each team needs to win. Who is going to be the best player? Who's getting the MVP honors? And what's your final score here? Dakota, I feel like your prediction is just going to make me mad because I'm sure you're going to pick the Chiefs. So I'll save you for last. So I'll go first here, and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I got to say, arguably the best player in the playoffs so far, regardless of position. I think you have a strong argument is Hassan Reddick.
Yes.
I think Hassan Reddick is going to show up again. I'm thinking my bold prediction. He's at least 2 sacks and forces a fumble, and he takes home Super Bowl MVP, and the Eagles win. They're going to put points up, but I think they're going to pull out, I'm going to say 28, 31 to 24. I think there's going to be points to be scored. Okay. But I think Hassan Reddick is going to be a nightmare. I think he just continues the ball. I mean, he personally is, I can tell you right now, Daniel Jones and Brock Purdy haven't slept well since they faced them against him. They probably still have nightmares.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I like that prediction.
But Brock Purdy can't move his arm up. He can't, yerk one out anymore. He's going to just think of Hassan Reddick and all the nightmares he's causing him.
Freddy Krueger, baby. Man, Hassan Reddick. That has to be, in my opinion, I mean, I obviously haven't been watching the Eagles as long as you guys, but has there been a better free agency signing than Hassan Reddick in the history of this organization?
Probably To, but
Yeah,
longevity
T.O.,
wise,
yeah.
no. I
Yeah.
mean,
instant
if Hassan
impact.
Reddick shows up
Yeah,
next year, yeah, I mean,
and for the
Man,
deal
even if he,
too, you gotta factor in like they got him on a steal 3 year.
They
Like I think it
did.
was
he
like
was
40
so
million.
easy.
Like yeah,
Yeah, not bad at
Nothing,
all
man.
no.
for an impact playmaker like him.
He makes me feel a little less bad about, not to get too ahead of myself, but all of the potential guys we're going to lose during free agency in the offseason. But neither here nor there. Predictions for the Super Bowl. I think that obviously the Birds are going to win it. I think that the MVP. I was going to say Hassan Reddick, but you took Hassan and
Great minds,
Yeah,
great
love that. Love
minds.
the vibes here.
I go against the quarterback. I love Hurts. I do. He's going to be great and all, but
yeah,
saying quarterback is going to win the Super Bowl MVP is so boring and so bland. You got to go a little outside.
It is. I don't think that, I love Hurts, but the logical side of me doesn't see him having a huge game, because he doesn't have to for the Eagles to win. They can win three other ways, and none of them include Hurts throwing for 300, with 3 passing touchdowns. So I think that Super Bowl MVP, Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders has a huge game, 3 touchdowns. Okay. Rushes for over 120. Let's do it.
We bet on that.
Hey, capping off a big year for him.
Yeah, man.
That'd be icing on the cake for him. Yeah, going off
into
the sunset there
for sure.
What
about you, Dakota?
So yeah, I'm going to take the Birds, obviously.
Oh wow, okay.
I'm feeling. I said both teams. I think will get into the 30s. I think it'll end up being close. I think Philly will get a lead, and then the Chiefs will close it, and we'll get scared, but then we'll close it out. So I'm gonna go 34-31 Eagles. And I've been saying this. Be close. I've been saying this all playoffs. So eventually, it's got to come to fruition. I think AJ Brown is finally gonna have his game. He looks like he's hungry. He hasn't had a lot of opportunity. I'm going to give him 7 catches, 126 yards, and 2 tutties for Super Bowl MVP.
126, very specific.
Yeah,
it's very. And I didn't mention my score, 27-20 Eagles.
27-20. Okay.
Very nice. I think points will be scored. Mahomes is out there, but the Eagles, have been scoring every single game. I think it's gonna be fun. I'm excited to see what happens here. I do have some big games here.
I do have another bold prediction. I think another overdue player for a big play. He's been quiet, but in the good way quiet. I think in the second half, like I said, I think Eagles will be up maybe 10 points, maybe 7. I think Mahomes is going to force a throw. We're going to have big play Slay, getting a little pick 6 action, forcing Mahomes to have to come back even more. But I think it's I think if not a pick 6, I think he gets an interception. He's overdue. He's had quite a few go off his hand lately, and I think he's going to get one of them. So
let's see that. Mahomes gets some pressure in his face, have to force one. Yeah. Maybe in a spot he doesn't want to put it, and see what happens there. I don't think these wide receivers are going to get much separation, so I could definitely see a pick being thrown.
No. Bradbury's been locking down. Slay's been locking 100%. Down. Now that Gardner Johnson's back, we don't have to worry about, Blankenship and Kayvon playing safety. So
it's true. Yeah, got the full healthy defense out there.
And CJ was flying in that 49ers game. He was all over the field.
He's been huge all year. He's been great. Yeah, him out the here. If you look at the secondary now, they're fully healthy between Maddox, Slay, Bradbury, Gardner Johnson. It's just insane how good they are.
Yeah, someone who grew up, secondary being their favorite position to watch and play. Like I'm thriving right now. I love it.
Secondary, that's your favorite position?
Yeah. Brian Dawkins was my favorite player.
Of course, yeah.
I grew up not wanting to be him because no one can be him. He's different. Yeah, but
Weapon X, man.
The energy, the passion for the game, the love, the dedication, like he's so many great things about him. And he actually, we don't have time to go into this, but he actually had a rough start to his career. He was dealing with he was drinking a lot. He was just not taking care of himself, and then he did some things, changed his mindset, got right, and became a Hall of Fame safety. So,
man,
he got me into wanting to play and watch. So, yeah,
he's electric, man.
Always love watching safeties and cornerbacks.
Seen so many videos, so many highlights of Brian Dawkins. My all-time favorite moment was definitely when he ran out of the tunnel. He was just banging his head and just yelling out, getting the crowd hyped up, man. That video.
I don't know what it was
Makes me wanna run
from.
through a
Somebody
brick
was it might have been like a podcast. Someone was interviewing Julian Edelman, and they were asking him like, who was the scariest player you ever went against? He's like, Brian Dawkins. Like, no hesitation. He's like,
I didn't even think their careers crossed paths.
Yeah.
Before I forget,
yeah. But
one extra bold prediction that I have, if the Miles Sanders thing doesn't pan out, I can see Kenny Gainwell rushing for over 100 and getting 2 touchdowns.
I was thinking over 100 for Kenny as well. I think they've been feeding him. It's kind of like the Corey Clement thing, where Corey had a great playoff run in our Super Bowl 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
So they've been. I mean, Miles has been great too, but they've just been feeding Kenny as well. So
Kenny's just more explosive. Miles definitely has the better vision, but Kenny's vision has been great, and he's just so explosive.
He went from like, who is this guy? Is he going to get traded this year? Like halfway through this year, and then he just turned it around. So
yeah, they reminded him like, hey, Miles Sanders is on a contract year next year, so
he's
like, what? Free agent? Okay, let's do it.
But, all right.
So getting away from the game real fast. Getting away from the game, because I'm also, there's not many options to watch the Super Bowl in England, so I think I'm going to hold it down at the house. Besides wings, which is the OG best Super Bowl food by far.
Oh,
what is the number one Super Bowl food that we have to have?
Buffalo chicken dip, man.
Ooh.
See, yeah, you know what? I was gonna take. I like the. I was gonna, take a cop out and just pick like 3, but the dip tray. Get a little like dip tray with the buff chick, maybe some like guac or queso if you're doing that, some spinach artichoke if you're getting really into it.
I'm hungry.
It's just so versatile. Like you eat big right before the game starts. Maybe you do it at halftime, but as the game drags on, you're starting to get hungry again, but you don't want to move. You're fully locked in the game. It's just there. It's been out there for 3 hours, but you don't care. So you just keep scooping away. The ease of it too. That is like the go-to perfect thing. You don't need to reheat it. Wings, nachos or burgers, whatever you're cooking, you got to reheat. The dip just stays there, and just it's there for you.
Yeah,
still reliable.
Yeah, as far as snacks, I agree with that. I've been making slow cooked pulled pork the last like 3-4 Super Bowls. So
oh man, that sounds amazing.
Okay,
yeah, that's been.
Is that on the menu this week too?
You damn bet it will be.
Okay, there you go. Well, here we go. Well, hopefully, it's marinated with your tears when your Chiefs lose. So
they're not my.
We'll see what happens.
Oh man,
the Chiefs fan over here.
Nah, I got my Eagles Super Bowl hat on. You like that?
Yeah. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten where your predictions and your heart relies.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, great talk. Absolutely, go Birds. Don't get it twisted. And fly Eagles fly, baby.
Fly Eagles fly, baby.
Next time we do this, we're Super Bowl champions.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll talk to you.
All right, guys. Had a great time, man. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Of course. Thanks for coming.
Peace out.
Take care.